Well, isn't George Christensen just getting all the media he could ever want over his rubbish statement concerning the Reclaim Australia rally in Mackay? Now, George got all huffy and started throwing his weight around, squawking online about how he was going to fight for free speech. George wrote online, "I decided to speak after reviewing Reclaim's 24 principles, which includes freedom of speech, but there are those who want to silence me." He then went on to say, hell will freeze over before he gives in to such intimidation. And honestly, we just loved when he used our, "However, it's plain to see who wants to shut down free speech and the right to peaceful assembly and protest in this country." Honestly, I laughed so hard I almost choked on that garbage. I mean, really, George, you honestly thought you could get away with that blatant BS? Free speech defender, are you? We think you're more like a hypocritical little pouter seeking Daddy Abbott's approval and support. Now, when the Abbott government, you know, George, your lords and masters, when they went after our Australian right to free speech, how did you vote, George? What, you're not sure what we mean? Okay, well, let's refresh your memory, shall we? What did you say when your party decided that public servants who criticised the government or Prime Minister could be sacked? How did you vote regarding the weakening of whistleblower laws to protect those who fear career-ending attacks by those they expose acting illegally? How did you vote when the law changes to inhibit and restrict free assembly were passed, George? And how did you vote on Metadata Wars designed to invade our privacy, George? Did you ever tell Reclaim Australia that in the past you've actually voted against the same free speech principles you now claim to support? Did you tell them that you supported the invasion of our rights to a fair hearing because a warrant shouldn't be needed, just some metadata and a nasty mind with some evil intent behind it? Did you? Well, did you bloody great Judas? And who can forget the online challenge to doing battle with a keyboard warrior? Oh, George, you're just the man, aren't you? So tell us, big fella, if you're so fierce and all in favour of free speech, why is it that when we decided to just give you a little poke online, you immediately blocked us from your social media platforms? And why don't you explain your 98% attendance rate in Canberra, where to date you have never once, to our knowledge, crossed the floor against the party line in a vote? In fact, not once have you seriously gone against the LNP on any issue regarding privacy protections, human right denials, jailing doctors and nurses for exposing crimes, or all the other legislative nasties that you and those like you have so willingly imposed on Australia's people. And even when you did, even then you backpedalled as soon as the heat came on, didn't you, George? In fact, let's watch one of your more memorable displays of trembling bravado when you realised that your boss in Canberra might catch on to what you were talking about.
Tell us about your latest calls to ban the burqa.
Well, I'm going to stop it there because I just want to know that this is not going to Canberra because I'm not doing Canberra.
I'm feeding it to Brisbane. Brisbane's the one chasing it.
I can't do it. Look, the comment that I make is that I'm not going to make any further comments on the burqa right now because, we've just launched military action in the Middle East, and it's not appropriate to make any more comments on that issue at this time.
Has the government asked you to stop?
No, that's my personal decision.
Things that go against every standard required for Australia to be seen as a fair and decent nation are the very things that your Liberal Party have pulled apart with disgusting enthusiasm. And now you've got the gall to stand up and say you're in favour of freedoms for the people of your electorate? We're sick to our stomachs of the endless garbage you spout, George, and that's before you slink off to Canberra to stab Dawson via your party line obedience. That's why we've decided to tell the Dawson people some home truths about you, George. Like your habit of promising one thing in Dawson and then voting for another in Canberra because Uncle Tony said so. Because that would certainly help us to explain why the best thing the Dawson electorate could do is get as far away from you as fast as possible. Now, you've had a pretty comfortable run so far, George, but your days are officially numbered. Now it's time for you to be held to account for all the things you claim to be doing while you are flying off to Canberra and doing something altogether different on the sly. The Labor Coalition is a new party, and we shall be heard in defence and support of the Dawson electorate. And you, George Christensen, you are going to find that you have a great many questions to answer to us in the days, weeks and months leading up to the next election. Down below you'll find a link to our party page. core beliefs and our platforms. If you're tired of being told what you can have rather than being asked what it is that you really need, consider joining the Labor Coalition, get a real voice and help us to stand up for what's right and what's fair.